Have you ever, really stopped to think about what you'd do if a heart attack hit and you were completely alone? It's a bit of a scary thought, isn't it? We tend to picture these things happening when other people are around, but honestly, being alone, it happens more often than you might think. And those first few minutes, well, they're absolutely critical. What you do right then can literally be the difference. So today, on the deep dive, our mission is pretty clear. We want to pull out the most vital, practical, life-saving steps from our sources. Things that anyone, maybe especially if you're over 60, can actually use if a heart attack starts and, well, you're by yourself.
Exactly. And this isn't about turning you into a paramedic overnight. That's not the goal. It's really about giving you knowledge that empowers you. Because, the big takeaway here is that even if you live alone, you're not helpless. Not at all. Preparation and just staying calm. Those are your best tools. And we're going to break down exactly how to use them when it counts the most.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Recognizing those first, maybe subtle warning signs. I think most of us, like you see in the movies, expect that sudden, dramatic, crushing chest pain. But what we found in the sources, it's often quite different, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. The reality is real heart attacks often sneak up on you. They start with symptoms that are much more subtle, things that's actually quite easy to just brush off or ignore, maybe until it's too late. What you really need to be aware of is often a deep, uncomfortable pressure, or maybe a squeezing feeling right in the center of the chest. People describe it like, something heavy sitting there, or like their chest is filling up with cement slowly. And here's the tricky part. It can come and go. That's what really fools people. They think, oh, it passed, must be nothing. But if that feeling lasts more than a few minutes, or it keeps coming back, that's serious. That's a major red flag.
That whole coming and going thing.
Yeah.
It feels so counterintuitive, doesn't it, compared to the movie version? Did the sources talk about why that particular symptom is so deceptive? Or what's the biggest reason people miss it?
They did, yeah. That intermittency. It lets people rationalize, oh, it must be heartburn, or maybe I just slept funny, that kind of thing. But it's not just the chest. The symptoms can be broader, like shortness of breath. Even if you're just sitting still, not exerting yourself. Some people feel pain or maybe just discomfort that radiates. It might go to one arm or shoulder, maybe up to the neck, or even the jaw. And then there's stuff like feeling lightheaded or breaking out in a cold sweat for no reason, nausea, dizziness, those too. And it's really important, especially for older adults and for women, to know the pain might not even be in the chest. It might feel more like pressure in the back or the stomach. It really is like one source put it beautifully. The body often whispers before it screams.
Yeah, that really brings Richard's story to mind from the material. He was 74, just sitting at his kitchen table, felt this weird tightness in his collarbone, kind of like heartburn, he thought. Then he realized, hang on, I can't get a full breath. And his hands started sweating. Instead of just dismissing it, he remembered hearing somewhere that, heart attacks don't all start with that classic pain. So he acted. And the source was clear. That decision probably saved his life. It just shows how vital it is to listen to those whispers. Okay, so you have that suspicion. Maybe it's just a whisper. Maybe it's louder. What next? Our sources are absolutely crystal clear on this one. Your immediate next move. Call 911. Period. No hesitation. This part is, well, it's not negotiable.
Couldn't agree more. The urgency here is paramount. This is absolutely not the time to wait and see if it goes away. Don't try to tough it out. Don't think about driving yourself to the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous. And don't worry about maybe overreacting. Calling 911 is simply the fastest, most effective way to get the help you need. Every single minute counts because your heart muscle is being starved of oxygen, and the longer that goes on, the more damage occurs. When you call, trained professionals start preparing immediately. They're on their way. They have equipment, medication. They can stabilize you, maybe even restart your heart if needed right there or on the way. Trying to drive. You could pass out, cause an accident. You're just delaying critical care.
It really drives home the importance of that professional help arriving fast. I remember Linda's story. 78 years old, she felt this strange ache in her left shoulder, then nausea, that cold sweat. Her first instinct was actually to call her son. But then she remembered a nurse telling her point blank, alone, maybe heart attack. Call 911 first, family later. So she did, made the call right away. And by the time the ambulance got there, her symptoms were worse, but the team was ready. They stabilized her right there. That discipline, prioritizing that call, it made all the difference.
And here's something important for people to know. You don't need to be 100% certain it's a heart attack. Call anyway. Dispatchers always prefer to send help for a false alarm rather than risk missing a real emergency, practically speaking. Keep your phone handy, somewhere easy to reach, always, especially if you live alone. And maybe take a minute, Figure out how the emergency call feature works on your phone. Most have a way to call 911 even if the screen is locked.
Okay, so the call's made. Help is on the way. What can you do right then? There's this simple action, chewing an aspirin, that our sources say can significantly boost your chances.
That's right. A standard uncoated 325 milligram aspirin, assuming, of course, you don't have an allergy or aren't on specific blood thinners where your doctor said not to. If you have it and it's safe for you, chewing one can make a really big difference. Aspirin helps thin the blood. It can slow down or even help prevent the growth of the blood clot that's likely causing the blockage in your heart artery. That's the root cause of the attack. And chewing it, rather than just swallowing, it gets into your system much faster. Now, normally, you might worry about taking aspirin on an empty stomach. But in this situation, life-threatening emergency, the benefit of tackling that clot outweighs the stomach concern. Oh, and if all you have is coated aspirin or delayed release, chew it anyway. You need that effect now.
Kind of amazing, isn't it? Something so common, so simple, can be that powerful. We read about Joe, 72 years old, felt that tightness spreading up from his chest into his neck. He remembered he had aspirin in the kitchen, went, chewed one, and then just sat down to wait. His cardiologist told him later that single act, chewing that aspirin, it likely reduced the amount of damage to his heart muscle. He actually said that little pill kept things from getting worse. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So the advice for listeners is make sure you have aspirin and make sure it's easy to get to. Nightstand, kitchen drawer, maybe even keep one in your wallet or purse. Check the expiration date now and then, and maybe let family members know where you keep it. It seems almost too basic, but it's a proven, powerful step.
Right. So you've called 911, you've chewed an aspirin if possible. What's next? The sources emphasize just stopping, start moving. Find a safe spot, sit down, or maybe lie down.
Yes. Any physical effort, even just pacing around anxiously, puts extra strain on your heart. And your heart is already working overtime, struggling for oxygen. The ideal thing is to sit down, have your back supported, feet flat on the floor, arms just resting loosely. This helps reduce the heart's workload. If you start to feel faint or really lightheaded, then lying down is better. Lie on your side, maybe prop your head up slightly. This is definitely not the time to try and push through it or tidy up or anything like that. It sounds passive, but in this specific situation, doing nothing is doing something. A very important something. It gives your heart the best chance to stabilize a bit. It helps slow your breathing, conserves that precious oxygen while you wait.
I could really picture Alice. She was 81. When she felt that pressure spreading, her very first thought, and it's so human, I need to clean up the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But then she remembered her doctor saying, if you think it's your heart, just sit down. Everything else can wait.
Mm-hmm.
So she did. She just sank into her recliner and waited. And she learned later that just being still, it likely prevented things from getting much worse, maybe even stopped a full cardiac arrest. It's like stillness becomes this unexpected superpower in that moment.
And just a small refinement on that. If you are sitting, try not to slump over. Keep your back reasonably straight if you can. It helps keep your airway open, makes breathing a little easier, which again reduces the effort your heart needs to make. Every little bit helps.
Okay, now here's a step that might seem minor, but our sources really highlighted it as surprisingly helpful. If you feel up to it, if you have the strength, unlock your front door for the paramedics. It's like rolling out the welcome mat for the emergency responders.
It sounds so simple, but honestly, in an emergency, every single second counts. A locked door is a barrier. Yes, paramedics can break it down if they have to. They're trained for that. But forcing entry takes time, precious time. Plus, it causes damage, and it could even startle you or worse, injure you if you happen to be right near the door when they come crashing in. Just unlocking it beforehand lets them walk straight in and start helping immediately. That simple turn of a lock could easily save 30 seconds, a minute, maybe more. Minutes your heart desperately needs. So if you live alone, it's worth thinking about this in advance, especially if you're in an apartment building or maybe a gated community. Like, is your door easy to unlock from the inside? Is your house number really visible from the street? Is there a spare key hidden somewhere or with a neighbor?
Yeah, that reminds me of Paul's story, 76, lived in a small condo. Symptoms hit, he called 911, chewed his aspirin, and then he walked a few steps to his front door and unlocked it, all in less than 2 minutes. He said later the paramedics told him that simple act. It got them to his side about 30 seconds faster and saved them having to break the door down. Paul admitted, that was the last thing I would have thought of, but wow, what a difference it could make. These small things add up.
Definitely. But it's crucial to add a qualifier here. If walking to the door feels like too much effort, if you're feeling busy or weak, don't do it. Your absolute priority is to stay still, sit or lie down, and focus on breathing. Don't risk making things worse by moving unnecessarily. But if the door is close by and you feel steady enough just to reach it and unlock it quickly, then yes, it's a very helpful thing to do. Some people consider things like smart locks you can unlock remotely, or those medical lock boxes for keys outside might be worth looking into for some. It just smooths the path for help. So true. Now let's talk about your phone again. It's not just for making that initial call. In these critical moments, it becomes like your personal emergency command center. There are two features that are incredibly useful.
Right. The first one is simply using the speakerphone function when you're talking to the 911 dispatcher. It frees up your hands, lets you focus entirely on breathing, staying calm, without the strain of holding the phone. Plus, it means the dispatcher can hear you clearly, even if you suddenly feel weaker and can't hold the phone up or speak loudly. They can also sometimes pick up background sounds, like changes in your breathing, that might give them clues about your condition. And then, arguably even more critical, is setting up your phone's emergency medical ID. This is available on pretty much all smartphones now, iPhones, Androids. It stores vital info, age, allergies, medications, conditions, emergency contacts, and paramedics can access it, even if your phone is locked. Imagine they arrive and you're unconscious. This feature can literally speak for you, saving precious time and guiding their treatment decisions. That's huge. The accessibility, even when locked. Susan's story really illustrated that. She was 79, passed out just as help was arriving, but she had set up her medical ID. So the paramedics immediately saw she was diabetic, allergic to penicillin. That stopped them from giving her something harmful. And they could instantly call her daughter, whose number was listed right there as an emergency contact. It's like having a silent advocate in your pocket.
Exactly. And setting it up, it takes maybe 5 minutes. Seriously. It's not complicated. You don't need to be a tech genius. Just put in your name, birth date, any major health issues, current medications, known allergies, and definitely 1 or 2 emergency contacts. It's such a simple thing to do, but the payoff in an emergency could be immense. It provides crucial information when you might not be able to.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the steps. You've done all these things. Help is coming. But panic might be setting in. That feeling is natural, but our sources say your breath, focusing on your breath, is one last powerful tool you have.
It is. Feeling panic during a heart attack is completely understandable. I mean, your chest feels tight, maybe painful, your mind is racing. It's terrifying. Now, controlled breathing, let's be clear, it's not going to magically fix the blockage in your artery. But what it can do is help prevent your body's stress response from spiraling out of control into full-blown shock while you wait. See, when you panic, your heart often beats faster, maybe more irregularly. Slowing your breath can help calm your nervous system down, which in turn can help settle your heart rhythm a bit. You don't need anything fancy, just a simple technique. Try breathing in slowly through your nose, maybe for a count of 4. Hold it just for a second. Then breathe out gently through your mouth, maybe for a count of 6. Just focus on that rhythm. In for 4, out for 6. It gives your mind something to anchor to, and it might help prevent those dangerous stress-induced arrhythmias, those irregular heartbeats.
That distinction is really key, isn't it? It's not a cure, but it's about managing the body's reaction, preventing that spiral. Frank's story comes to mind here. He was 83, felt the pain, and he described feeling like he was drowning in fear. But he remembered a simple breathing exercise his doctor had shown him ages ago, just during a checkup, so he focused on that. Inhale, exhale. Kept himself still. Actively tried to let the panic wash over him instead of fighting it. Paramedics arrived. His heart was unstable, definitely, but it hadn't gone into full cardiac arrest. He just kept repeating to himself, stay calm, stay alive. It shows the power of the mind-body connection, even then.
Absolutely. And this kind of slow, controlled breathing, you can practice it anytime. Lying in bed, feeling stressed, watching TV. The more you practice it when you're calm, the more automatic it becomes. The easier it will be to access it when the stakes are incredibly high. Again, it won't fix the underlying problem, the blocked artery, but it buys time. It helps keep oxygen flowing. It helps your heart just hold on. And sometimes, in those minutes before help arrives, this holding on is everything. It can be the edge you need.
So when you put it all together, surviving a heart attack when you're alone, it really isn't just down to luck, is it? It's so much about preparation, knowing the signs, and then acting calmly, decisively. These 7 steps we've walked through, they might seem simple individually, but together, they form this incredibly powerful chain. Recognizing the subtle signs, making that immediate 911 call, chewing the aspirin if you can, getting still to conserve energy, then unlocking the door, using your phone smartly with speakerphone and medical ID, and finally, using your breath to stay as calm as possible. It's a sequence.
You've really captured the essence of it. Each one of those steps, each action, it buys you a little more time. Each one gives you back a small measure of control in a situation that feels totally out of control. And, each one sends a really important message. Even when you are physically alone, you're not powerless, not truly. A heart attack can feel like the ultimate, most terrifying isolation. But these actions remind us all that you still have agency. You have tools, you have knowledge. Now, hopefully, you have a clearer plan.
So listening to all this today, what stood out most to you? Was there maybe one step you hadn't really thought about before? Or perhaps one that you see differently now? Just take a moment, think about how you could apply this knowledge to your own life. Maybe make a small change today. And maybe, just maybe, share one of these ideas with someone you care about. Because honestly, this information, it might not just save your life one day. It could very well save theirs too.